I'm your welcome to 23. You're joining me for Blades of Light and Shadow, Chapter 10, The City of Glimmering Lies. You stand with your party at the foot of the great mountain, gazing up at the looming towers carved into its side, the ancient elven city of Undermount. Yes. You start up the stone pathway at Tyril's side, talking quietly so the rest of your companions don't overhear. Are you ready to return? I had hoped to come back in triumph, my honor restored, my path to saved Kaya clear, but it seems my quest runs through these halls first. Tyril, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Hold your head high. What happened with Kaya is her shame, not yours. I had hoped to be returning with a way to free her. And that's exactly what we're here to find. We'll pull this off, I promise. You take his hand, squeezing gently. Thank you, Rain. I won't lose hope. Your legs burn as you go higher and higher, approaching the heavy iron doors and a pair of armored guards blocking them. Halt! Who goes there? Lord Tyril, heir to House Starfury. House Starfury has no heir, not since the failure of a son lost a duel and fled the city in shame. Haven't we all failed at one point? I know I have, and I can imagine you have too, unless you're claiming perfection. No, far from me to be so ungracious, but... Then if he failed as well, you aren't you exiled too? Well, technically he's not exiled. Then you have no reason to block his return, am I right? The guards look at each other, shuffling uncomfortably. Fine, welcome back, lordling, but don't expect a warm welcome. That's his business, not yours. Tyril lifts his chin at the guards, but shoots you a grateful look. Thank you, Rain. My family awaits. The guards push open the heavy iron double doors. You follow the pathway deeper into the mountain until it opens onto a vast, sprawling underground citadel. It's incredible. Eons ago, stone scrapers carved out every inch of the mountain. This place was meant to be a last resort, our final retreat. Once the Dreadlord came and the elven empires fell, it was all you had left. The rep wriggles out of Nia's satchel and jumps to your shoulder to take a better look. It's much shinier than I remember. His little tail quivers as his eyes dart from one gleaming gem to the next, and Tora runs a fingernail over one of them. These are real Lorian emeralds. This wall is worth a fortune. The ancient empire had untold wealth. It is but a fraction of their treasures. What good is gold if you can't spend it? I think beauty is its own reward. Though that to someone hungry. Gotta agree with the pirate on this one. You can't eat beauty or use it to stay warm at night. Yeah, but the elves never had to deal with this problem, that's who we're talking about. Still, look at this place. Anyone that money could have fed or sheltered has been dead for centuries, and this is still here. I can't believe that means nothing. Nor I. In silence, Tyril guides you down a pathway to the main thoroughfare. Despite the wealth and beauty surrounding you, everyone seems in a hurry, lost in their own world. Until one of the passing elves glances up. Thrax's armors, that are you? You've returned to us. Here we go. Tyril braces himself, but the man walks straight past him and falls to his knees in front of you. What? A Nesper alive! Truly this is a sign from the stars. Oh, exiled one, it is such an honor. Wait, exalted one. The cat. That purrs atop your shoulder. I am quite the gift, aren't I? The man stands, looking at you in bewilderment. How did a human come to hold one of the ancient guardians? We were hired by a great house to find him. Al Starfury's heir learned that an Esper might be trapped in one of the old ruins of the Empire and hired us to retrieve him. You look him dead in the eye and smiling confidently, as he surfaced to elven kind. I believe that means all elves owe him a great debt, no? Of course, Exalted One. He inclines his head to Tyril, who accepts it graciously. You have done our people a great service, Lord Starfury. Tell me, faithful sir, do you require my counsel? It's just, I can't decide what to wear to the ancestral masquerade. A mighty conundrum, but my wisdom will guide you through. I believe you will best represent your house at the masquerade if you wear purple. Thank you, wise one, I will follow your counsel. As he runs off, a throng of curious elves around you, gasping when they see Threb. A Nesper, a real living Nesper! Ancient Guardian, how may we serve you, Exalted One? It's a bloody cat, for sure. Offerings of food are always acceptable. Elven cream cakes and honey wine, perhaps? You're immediately surrounded by outstretched hands offering fruit, pastries, delicate spun sugar candies. You have got to be kidding me. Sorry, the Exalted One is on a diet? I am not! And Tora scoops the Nesper out of your arms, shoving him pointedly into her pack. No, you are. You try to back away from the crowd, but they press close, jostling each other as if to try to get to Threb. I require counsel from the Exalted One as well. Oh my, maybe we should get out of here before we draw too much attention? Push past the crowd. Excuse me. Pardon me. His Exaltedness really needs a nap. They'll jostle you as you struggle to clear a path towards an abandoned-looking passageway. Finally, I wasn't sure we'd ever escape Threp's new admirers. Oh, what's so wrong with getting a little overdue worship anyway? Elf boy's on thin ice here, remember? Last thing we need is a bunch of people asking questions about his pet Nesper. Joe looks around the dusty passageway, eyes narrowed as he slowly turns his way in that. You look lost. The poets called Undermount the city of 100,000 alleys. There are so many paths through the city. So you're lost. No, I've just never been in this pound of Undermount before. Man, elf boy, today's not just not your day. First your homecoming's overshadowed by a cat, then you're lost in your own. What's that? Nia points to the wall behind you, sitting on a low shelf, as though the forgotten is a lore tablet. You take a step towards it, and when Tyril shouts echoes throughout the passageway. No! Click. A pressure plate shifts underfoot. Pull back before setting it off. Your human reflexes kick in just in time, and you carefully draw your foot back before the plate compresses. That was way too close. You look up, locating the small gap in the rock, just as a head height, where a deadly steel-tipped bolt is knocked. Why is there a trap in the middle of a passageway? Some of the older parts of Undermount are still set to defend against a war, or this may be a local measure to ward off intruders or thieves. Death traps in the middle of a city, and they say orcs are violent. Well, someone obviously thought there would be something on a tablet worth defending. Retrieve the tablet to learn about the myths and folktales of the race of Morella, and earn some bonus EXP. So what you're telling me is I'm going to be reading a bunch. Carefully, you search the area around and on the shelf for any other pressure plates or tripwires and find nothing. Blowing the dust away, you ease the tablet off the shelf and take a look. Human myths. The royal family. The royal families trace their lineage to the divine Valorous, a heroic demigod who featured heavily in early legends about the founding of White Tower in the Kingdom of Morella. Said to be a common-born servant who took up arms against the Shadow Court, the divine Valorous is believed to have earned the blessing of the light and sheltered humanity from the elven war with the Dreadlord. After the fall of the Elven Empire, the divine Valorous married the daughter of the Priestess of Light. Their descendant became the first human of King Morella. Whether this is true or more legend, no one dares to question. Legendary heroes. Humans from Riverbend to Whitetower enjoy sharing tales of Gartho the Trickster. One favorite is how Gartho swindled the Elven Queen. In the story, Gartho arrives at the doorstep of Undermount during a dreadful storm. When the Elven Queen refuses to give him shelter, he says that he will instead protect himself with his magical cloak. When the Elven Queen demands to see his cloak, Gartho says he is ashamed to have come before her in something so bare and ugly. First he begs that she give him gems and furs to trim him so that he can be worthy to be seen by her. Naturally, after she gives him her sapphire buttons, her ermine collar, her velvet hood, and her golden brooch, Garth vanishes into the storm, not needing a cloak after all. It is said that the King Arland and I first sought the services of an elven soothsayer at the beginnings of his reign. Whatever she saw in the oracle glass frightened him so much that his hair turned stark white. Despite the king's decree that no one talk about the prophecy, one of his servants admitted that the soothsayer foresaw the Kingdom of Morella would be corrupted from within, and was lost in a terrible war to the darkness. Though not part of the original prophecy, rumors persist that this terrible fate can be forestalled only by a single chosen hero, though how that hero might be recognized is unknown, and signs to look for differ widely from story to story. Elven myths. The Light. No elven gathering is complete without sharing stories of the miracles of the light performed in the days of old. One of the favorites is how the light lasted, usually in the form of a ballad by Valenthos the Silver-Tongued. When it was clear that Valen was going to fall into the Shadow Court, the elves of the city decided it was their duty to fight to the death, but they did not want the same fate for their children. Instead, they sent the city's children out through a secret tunnel, guarded only by a priestess of light. For 100 days and nights they crept through the darkness, their way lit only by the glow the priestess conjured. Giving up all her food and water to the children, she let the power of the light burn through her, keeping their way lit until they made it to Undermount, where she died on the doorstep, having seen the children to safety at last. Each of the great houses claims ancestry from a single mythical founder, dating back to a time before even the Dreadlord. House Starfairy traces its lineage to a woman said to be the daughter of the North Star itself. Her beauty was only rivaled by her magic. She charged House Starfairy with always protecting the secrets of magic, for she felt it too powerful to risk its everyday use. House Duskraven's founder is said to be the spy master for the Golden City, searching out its enemies with huge flocks of ravens, served as his eyes and ears. His descendants have always lived by his beliefs that information is the most powerful weapon. Origins of life. The elves believed that in the beginning there was only land and light. No sentient beings walked the earth. Instead, magic flowed free and wild like the wind. But the light grew restless, and the light grew lonely, so the light found flesh, bone, and made the first creatures, the elves. The elves believe thus that they not only control the light, but they are made of it. Magic made flesh. Thus the elven funeral saying, "From the light we came, to the light we return." Orc myths. Origin of orcs. Orcs love to tell the story of how they came to be. According to their legends, the elements were unhappy with their first attempts to make guardians for the land they had created. They had given magic to the elves, but the magic corrupted them. They had tried again with the humans, but they were weak and quickly fell to the rule of generals and kings, so the elements tried one more time. This time, each of the elements chose a gift to give the new race. The earth gave them strength, the wind gave them speed, and the moon gave them patience, and the sun gave them anger, and the stars gave them poetry. But it is the sea that gave the orcs what they valued most, freedom, and that is why they have always considered themselves the stewards of the sea. The most famous of all orc heroes is Venestra Teldaro, the matriarch of the clan Teldaro 500 years ago. Venestra is famed for her litany of great many achievements. Among the many, Venestra is said to have invented the modern warship design, defeated the monstrous Brood Kraken in the Battle of the Sea, and bested the Titan of Thane in a single combat. Venestra was also renowned for her great beauty, her immense size, and her skills as a lover. The great orc bard Mero Mavor spent a night with her, and he describes his body as being so ravaged that he was unable to get out of bed for a week. Where's a woman like that? Be quiet, Threat. The battle is, accorded a place of high honor in the orc culture, and as such, many of their stories revolve around legendary fights or weapons. One weapon, which features in many stories, is the Sea King's Cutlass, the sword of the first orc raider to found his own kingdom in the Shimmering Isles. So to have been a gift from the Mermaid Princess, the sword is believed to make the bear immune to drowning, as well as having magical properties such as dealing wounds that never heal and being able to block arrows out of the air. Lost under the waves over 100 years ago in the battle between two pirate fleets, the cutlass is the object of many young orcs' personal quest for glory. When you're done, you tuck the tablet back into your satchel and turn to the group. Ah, so these lore tablets are at the top now. Gradually, you find a pathway out of the abandoned tunnel that connects back to one of the main Undermount streets. Ah, now I know where we are. My family's estate isn't far from here. Without the Nesper to galvanize them, the elves around you pay little attention to your group, heads down to their own concerns. This city is so beautiful, but everyone seems so preoccupied. Everyone's wrapped up in their own lives. The drama, intrigue, political maneuvering. But something feels different about it now, or maybe I've just been away for far too long. Do you regret leaving? At times, I wonder if I should have stayed, if there was more I could have done for Kaya here, but deep down I know there wasn't, which is why every time I consider it I reach the same conclusion. And if you hadn't left, you would have never met us. Neither of us would be nearly so close to bringing all the shards back together. I do think the stars led me on the right path, even if it's been a challenging one. He smiles shyly at you before lowering his voice. After all, they led me to you. Mal gazes around at the bustling city, the stern expressions and hurried gates. No wonder you elves don't rule the world anymore. Don't any of you know how to have fun? Of course we do. We have decadent banquets and elegant masquerades. Not seeing any of those happening. Sometimes we like to hold debates, a meeting of minds, if you will, two elves arguing for hours on everything from philosophy to art. Just go ahead and shove me off one of those bridges, would you? Tyril sighs and smiles. I think I know what you might enjoy. One of Undermount's greatest secrets, a chamber of infinite mysteries and pleasures. Mysteries and pleasures are two of my favorite things. Picture a room filled to the brim with magic, making you the audience of visions no one has ever seen in thousands of years or more. What sort of visions? Tyril hesitates and lowers his voice, the hint of a mischievous smile teasing his lips. Secret ones. This is your chance to enjoy a one-of-a-kind magical experience with your companions, learn more about the elven history, and gain an artifact to help against the Shadow Court. Side quest. Path to the past. Let's do it. It'd be a shame to come all this way and miss out on it. That's a spirit, kid. We gotta let loose. Elven style. If you can even call that letting loose. I suppose you'll see for yourself now. Stay close. He'll guide you through town until you step into a massive building. You're instantly struck by the sprawling collections of relics, scrolls, and books. I present to you the Grand Library, our jewel of Undermount. A library. I don't know what I was expecting. Excuse me, I must have a word with the head cleric. Feel free to enjoy yourselves for the time being, within reason. So try not to set any ancient scrolls on fire. Do not even joke. And with that, the group splits up and explores the library. Nia picks up a scroll on magic. Oh, the things I could learn here. Mal, meanwhile, rifles through the pages of a heavy leather-bound tome. He lets out a low whistle. What are you grinning about? My kind of library, kid. He turns the book to you. The pages are filled with illustrations of elven bodies, deep in the throes of passion. Listen to this. Honoring the lovers, Itar and Bakshi, is a sacred duty of all elves. Their passions must be celebrated. with the acts of shared pleasure and intimacy lasting at least 4 hours. Maybe elves do know how to have fun. Whoa, she's flexible. Jordan and Nia come over, spying the picture.
We're looking at smut.
Oh my! You've now been darkened, your light pure purged. Hey Mal, be careful. Or you'll scar poor Nia for life. Think you can smuggle that bug for me? Be careful, you'll scar her. A priestess doesn't see such things. I know what... I know how babies are made.
There's more to making babies.
That's easy. God, she can't even say it. Her blushes crimson, but can't quite pull her eyes away. Goodness, these are quite vividly illustrated. Are you supposed to put that there? A hand comes from behind Mal and snaps the book shut. Ahem. If you're quite finished, you may now follow me upstairs to the visions room. I promise it'll be more entertaining than the three-fingered lotus blossom. I really doubt that. Three-finger lotus blossom, okay. You follow Tyril to the top floor, where you find yourselves in a glowing room. Crystals line the wall, and the altar at the far end spins with a pulsing light. There's so much magic in here. It's in everything. It's been ages since I felt this kind of power. The light within these crystals allows us to experience the memories of our long-dead ancestors. We call them reflections. Tyril, what's that crystal there? I feel drawn to it, I think. Tyril hesitates, looking at the crystal Nia pointed out, and nods. Place it on the altar if you like. Nia wordlessly takes the crystal into her hands and does as Tyril says. Then your whole world erupts. You're surrounded by thousands of troops, the clashing of swords and the explosion of spells, deafening you. Where are we? The battle of the Great War. The gargoyle screeches by, terrifyingly close.
This isn't one of those things where if we die in the vision, we die for real, is it?
I don't want to find out. Gargoyle swoops right at you, claws bared. You throw yourself to the side and see the gargoyle descend upon an elven warrior and render him to bloody ribbons. All around you, the forces of shadow cut down the elven army as though they're ants. God, they never stood a chance. Why did the light draw me to this crystal? A loud bellow sounds from the edge of the battlefield. You and the warriors beside you turn and run, following a tall elf in golden armor as he flees. Why are they all running? They're leaving the rest of the warriors behind.
Sometimes you gotta cut your losses.
They follow General Tyril. He turned the tide of many battles to come, but everyone who was left behind here was lost. That's horrible. He left them all to die.
Do you have much of a choice?
General Terran saved the lives of his troops. The battle was lost. What else was he going to do, ask his troops to die for nothing? My father would say he was a coward for fleeing, but I'd rather live as the descendant of a coward than never have been born. He was your ancestor? It took a long time for House Starfury to live down the shame of Terran Starfury's failure. But a hand on Tyril's shoulder, feeling the tension corded between his shoulders. This battle was so much worse than I could have imagined. A fight that wouldn't exist if not for the greed of some of my kind. I have to wonder if they truly thought a fistful of power was worth so much destruction. To some people it is. Tyril goes to the wall and takes up another crystal, a sad smile on his face. Time for something softer, I think. Tyril gently sets the crystal on the altar, and the room around you dissolves into the image of an old market lit up in the night. It's pretty. You gaze around in awe, glowing lights on every stall. Banish the night, and the smell of sweets and spirits fill the air. This feels so real. Because it is. It is one of the first settlements of the old elven kingdom, established 1,000 years ago. Threp delicately sniffs at the air with an expression you can only classify as elation. Oh, that smell, all these elven delicacies. If only you could eat a memory. Why did people worship you again? Tyril touches the crystal again. The night market gives way to trees and greenery so thick you can barely see 10 feet in front of you. This place feels familiar. Is this the forest you just went through? Yeah, the dead one. What it was before, filled with life and magic. I wish we could change it back. It's nothing but a wasteland now. We can't let it stay like that. No, we can't. But once we destroy the shards, maybe the world can finally begin to heal. The chorus of birdsong and lush perfume of the trees shifts as Tyril touches the crystal again. Gold and ivory towers stretch up into the clouds, glistening like stars, and Toro whistles.
That's all the real gold I'm seeing.
It is. This was the heart of our empire, many, many years ago. Valen, the Golden City. So much time has passed that many dismiss it as a legend, but as you can tell, it was just as real as you and I. The light's presence is so strong here, too.
Of course. This is how things used to be.
It's incredible. I can't believe this really existed. I know I'm kinda new to this whole traveling thing, but I've never seen anything like this.
No one has. It disappeared long ago.
Images dissolve, bringing you back into the circular room you started in. I see it as a stark reminder that we cannot dwell on the past, no matter how great and powerful an empire may seem. It will eventually fall.
You're a real ray of sunshine, aren't you, elf boy?
History tends to repeat. The elves of the empire were so preoccupied with their insular society and power struggles, they failed to see the real danger. I worry we are making the same mistake now. We don't work together, we don't scruple at anything that might gain us power. Then we need to help them learn from past mistakes. Think of what could have changed if everyone saw what we just did, if all the people in Morella knew.
Yeah, why do you keep something like this locked away?
These memories are sacred. What better way to honor them than to spread their story, to let others learn from them? Don't you think that's what they would have wanted?
I suppose I hadn't thought of it like that, but I agree.
He hesitates for a moment and then takes a crystal off the wall. Bluing glow crystal. What is that? Tyril gently tucks it into a satchel. A memory of the day Valen fell, when the Shadow Court first attacked. I won't subject you to its horrors now, but I may be able to access it later and gain some knowledge, something to help us fight and help us in the fight ahead. Are you allowed to take crystals out of here?
It's not strictly permitted.
After all, like Rain said, we honor them best by learning from their loss, and I can't do that if the crystal's sitting here.
Well, look at that. Won't make a rebel out of you yet, elf boy.
Not before we can make an honest man out of you.
I wouldn't count on either.
So, can we get back to the night market? With a laugh, Tyril steps away from the altar and the room becomes just as clear and as bright as when you first entered. Come, we have put off our return home long enough. Tyril leads you to a blooming garden, rich with the smell of flowers. Everyone goes quiet as they gaze around in wonder. This is House Starfairy Temple of Light. Our ancestors built this private shrine when Undermount was first founded. I thought you might like to see it. He nods at Nia, who breaks into a smile. Thank you, Tyril. It's beautiful. But it also reminds me that just how far we've all fallen from the light.
There's someone else here.
My, how touching. And I thought the priestesses of light were all fossils by now. You spin around to find an ostentatiously dressed elven woman leaning against a pillar, grinning at Tyril. It's Kaya. Darling, what a surprise to see you have returned to us. Kaya, or should I say, Lady Dusk Raven. You'd better. You lost your right to call me a familiar name when you humiliated yourself so pathetically in that duel. And what interesting company you've kept these days. How far's House Starfury has fallen. Her gaze flashes over Tora, and she scoffs quietly. Takes quite nerve to return to Undermount after a year in exile. But to bring an orc with you, positively scandalous. Come a little closer. I'll show your face a real scandal. Tora, now shh. Kaya pushes off the pillar and struts past Tora to feather a hand across Mal's chest. And who's this scoundrel? What an adorable outfit you've got, like a street harlequin pretending to be a noble. I'd say I'm a real noble, but I can't shove a stick that far up my... Ignoring him, Kaya continues to stop in front of you, drumming one painted fingernail against her lips. And you... Don't you think that being Tyril's pet means you're welcome in Undermount? We have no use for your kind here. This is starting to bore me. I suggest you get to the point, otherwise I might just have to make it for you. Lady Duskraven. Well, at least you aren't a wilting flower. We'll see how that sharp tongue avails you tomorrow evening. She flicks her hand out, offering a sealed envelope between two long fingers. Tyril snatches it from her with a scowl. House Starfury is cordially invited to the ancestral masquerade at Duskraven Manor. You're hosting the masquerade this year. Well, Duskraven is the house ascendant, in case you hadn't heard, after House Starfury fell into ruin. You win! Oh dear, does that come as a surprise? Much has changed since you fled sobbing for the outside world. At least a year's masquerade. If it were up to me, I'd spare you the humiliation of attending again, but you are still technically the House Starfury heir. He raises a hand and pats his cheek with a patronizing grin. You clench your hands in a fist and bite your tongue as rage simmers inside of you. Kay glances at you with a sneer. These are the commoner scum, protective of her disgraced Starfury heir. How pathetically quaint. Tyril snatches Kaya's wrist and takes her hand off of his face, fire burning behind his eyes. It's not your place to speak of scum, considering how far you've fallen. Oh my, you've injured me, darling. She grins viciously at the circle of hostile faces around her. Consider this my personal invitation for all of you to join us for the festivities. They'll be positively to die for. With one last sneering look at your group, she sweeps from the temple. Wow, she is absolute worst. She didn't even bother to come up with an insult for me.
That's your best friend?
Not anymore. This masquerade sounds like a trap, doesn't it? What gave you that? The it's to die for, or the fact that she was here waiting on it? A trap, but also our best chance to getting into Duskraven Manor. And while we're at it, we can spy on Kaya, ask about the shard, help Tyril's reputation. Spy on Kaya. We need to find evidence of what Kaya uncovered when she went hunting for the Shadow Court's history.
I've been itching for some good plundering, and Lady Aswell deserves it.
We have to be cautious. Everyone there will be her ally, not ours. At first, I must get home. I have so many questions for my father. Follow me quickly. He hurries out of the temple, and you all scramble to keep up. He shoves through the manor's front doors, calling into the echoing chamber of a crumbling foyer. Hello, father. You... What happened here? The manor, it's in such disrepair. There's a clatter somewhere within the manor. Then the sounds of footsteps approaching a frail elven man bursts in the foyer.
Tyril! Is it really you?
Yes, father, it is. Tyril braces himself for what he's like to be expecting a rebuke. The man runs forward and pulls him into an embrace.
My son, I thought you were dead. We all did. You'd been overcome with shame and then...
No, father, I merely had important business to attend to. I still do.
And who are all these people?
These are my friends. He manages a soft smile as he looks at you. His father nods and cordial but wary.
And what brings such an unusual group to Undermount?
We're here to support Tyril. Tyril wanted to come home, but we didn't want to have him to face Undermount alone. Lord Starfear's face crumples into a sad smile.
Your dear friends indeed. Undermount society can be vicious, especially after what happened. I am the fellow Starfeary, the head of our house. Be welcome.
Thank you for your kindness. Stars deceive me. I think I see a ghost. A young elven woman rushes out of a side hallway, arms outstretched as she runs towards Tyril. I swear if you're more excited about the Nesper than me. She throws her arms around him, or stepping back to tweak his nose. He bats her hand away, and she turns towards your stunned group with a laugh. I'm Adriana, this one's little sister, though he likes to pretend he's an only child. How could I? You make yourself impossible to ignore. Are you actually smiling, lordling?
No.
Looked like a smile to me. Father and I were just preparing for some lunch. I'm sure we have enough to share if you want to join us.
Would you happen to have any elven cream cakes and honey?
You clap a hand over Trep's whiskered mouth. It would be an honor to join you for lunch. A little while later, Adrena tells the table a story as Valor retrieves the meal from the kitchen. And then the trellis moorings broke free, and for one beautiful moment, I went flying through the air before...
Oh no, don't tell me.
Landing right on the hair of House Sunstrider.
Serves the master right, if you ask me.
But I ask, what's it like traveling with my brother? I'm surprised he's made so many friends. Tyril's a sensitive guy. We stay up late a lot, talking around the campfire. I feel like I can tell him anything, and like he trusts me the same way. Oh my, are you and Tyril? You could say so. Tyril stammers, cheeks and ears darkening.
Rain, please, not in front of my sister. How time has passed. It's been so long since I've seen both my children smiling at the meal table.
Valor sets the last platter on the table, his smile falling away. Tyril hesitates a moment and then looks his father in the eye. It's time to tell us, father. What has happened in all this time? Why are you serving our meal? Where is the head beddler?
I'm afraid we had to let poor Dylan go. Almost all of the household staff, actually. Our Starfairy does not enjoy the stature we once did.
We heard the House Dusk Raven has risen to House Ascendant. Does our fall have to do with that? The room falls silent as the older man stares at the table, clearly struggling with what to say. Lord Starfairy, we want to help you through this.
But what can you do? Outsiders have no place in power games of Undermount.
Tyril bows his head, but his eyes are hard with anger and determination. But I do. This is my fault, father. Let me help fix this.
No, the fault's mine. Had I been younger, better at the game, perhaps I could still have turned your loss to our advantage. But while I waited for your return, Lady Duskraven was brokering new alliances, securing trade agreements, buying council votes.
I see. Shaming me was just the first step in a plan. With me gone, she was able to gain influence.
She started to voice concerns of House Starfairy's fate. She said that without our true heir, we were useless, a bad investment.
That's absurd. Adrena's every bit as capable running the house as I am, more so even. When does the truth ever matter in Undermount? Once a rumor takes hold?
Next thing I knew, we lost contracts, alliances. The council was against me. That's how Starfury fell. House Duskraven rose.
This is madness! How could Kaya be so cruel? And how could she have done all this in such a short time? You know how. It's the fault of the Shadow Court. Lord Starfury, it's not only House Duskraven you've been facing. Kaya was corrupted by the Shadow Court.
The Shadow Court? But they were defeated centuries ago.
No, they're surfacing again, corrupting the weak-minded to be their agents, even entering our world. That's our mission here, to find the Onyx Shards, so we can seal them back where they belong. Kaya, she's lost, Father. She's fallen to their influence. We have to stop her.
I see. All I can ask my son is...
He'll nod solemnly, and the rest of the meal passes in somber silence. You're settling into the guest room Adrena showed you to later, when your door suddenly slides open.
Hey there, kid. Not ready to sleep so soon, I hope.
I lock that. Mal shrugs, flicking his fingers to make his lockpick vanish back up his sleeve.
Yeah, I noticed. But I didn't think you'd want to miss out on the chance to try some of the fabled wines of Undermount.
You want to go out to a tavern?
Not exactly.
He shuts the door and lowers his voice, sitting close to you on the bed.
The Undermount Celestial Winery is supposed to have, bar none, the finest wines in the world, but they're deeply protective of their stock. Outsiders can only sample it by personal invitation from the Council of Vintners.
And since you're not the type to wait for an invitation, I'm guessing you want to sneak into their vaults to steal their wine.
Specifically, I want us to sneak into their vaults to steal their wine.
I doubt all these snooty Undermount elves would be happy to have two outsiders steal their precious wine.
It's for your own good, kid. See, if you want to be an adventurer, you've got to learn how to do more than throw a punch. You need to learn to be one with the shadows, to creep like a thief on the lip of the night, to wear darkness like a second skin.
Are you talking about stealth?
Oh, so I can't be poetic for once in my life. I'm in Elf Town. Let me enjoy myself. But seriously, what do you say I teach you to sneak, and then we can drink the finest wine in the whole world?
Mal is offering to teach you an elite skill. These are very powerful skills that will help you throughout your adventure. Elite skill. Stealth. Teach me, senpai.
Great, because what I'm going to teach you could save your life.
Save my life or get me killed by angry elves. Well, shrugs happily, hearing the agreement in your voice.
One or the other.
You follow Mal back through the main thoroughfare of Undermount. The passage is now crowded with the people in fine evening wear.
Alright, there's three main principles to follow in being a dedicated sneak.
Lie, cheat, and steal.
Alright, fine, those are the main principles, but there are also 3 steps to follow when you're trying to break in somewhere you shouldn't be. First one is observe. Always be aware of your surroundings. What can you tell me about what you can see right now?
I see. You did say surroundings. A main road with a bunch of side tunnels. Most of the foot traffic heads uphill along the main road, while the side tunnels remain mostly dark. The side tunnels seem a lot less traveled. I'm guessing they lead to commercial areas, warehouses, things that wouldn't be open at night.
Good eyes, kid. So those are the roads we want to stick to when going to the winery.
Mal leads you into a darkened side tunnel, holding you still for a moment to let your eyes adjust. So, why this gloomy passageway? Mal smiles, his white teeth almost iridescent in the darkness.
One extra principle. I know the lay of the land
know the lay of the land before you start. I might have tricked Adrena into telling me where the winery's located. So all that stuff about uphill and well-trafficked areas, just to teach you. I'm generous that way. Now, we go along the tunnel until the fourth break on the right. You peer around the corner and see two guards standing at the attention in front of the ornate door. Mal lowers his voice to a bare breath in your ear. Next principle, distraction. Show me how you'll get the guards away. Okay, we have two choices here. We can lie to them or sound like a monster. Throw something as the non if you didn't pick two abilities yet. I will, just in case you all chose this one. Sound like a monster. Taking a breath, you let out an ungodly bellow that echoes down the surrounding tunnels until it's impossible to tell where it originates. Gods, kid. What the hell are you...
Rockworm! We're under attack!
Both guards draw their swords and rush down one side of the tunnel, searching for the creature. You grin at Mal. Rockworm. They live deep underground and are known to burrow through solid stone to seek out living flesh. Figuring the elves might be scared of them. I'm impressed, but also kinda terrified to sound like that came out of your mouth. Pulling a dagger from his vest, Mal quickly shows you how he inserts the thin blade into the ornate lock, and then he steps back, offering it to you. We don't have much time, so ready to learn fast. It doesn't sound like I have a choice. You take the dagger and lean over the lock, sliding in the dagger and turning ever so gently. It's just a matter of wiggling it around until you feel the click, and then the push. Maybe you could come a little closer and show me. Oh really? You want me to be a little more hands-on? I certainly wouldn't mind. Now cozies up behind you, his body pressed to yours, hips against you. He reaches over, putting his hands over yours as he helps guide the dagger in the lock. Now then, it's all about delicate, sensitive motion. You want to feel the lock. Really sense it. You lean back into him, feeling his warmth. That's also fascinating. Please tell me more. You're incorrigible, you know that? You let him do all the work, his calloused hands gently moving yours. Tick, 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 click. The lock springs open and Mal gives your hand a squeeze. Look at you, a natural. Thanks. You should keep holding my hands. But then how will I ever get my hands on that glorious elven wine? Now, we're down to our last principle. Silence. Carefully, he draws out a tube of oil, greasing the hinges on the massive door so he can slide it open without a sound. Watching how he places his feet, you follow him into the wine cellar, your footsteps silent behind him. Now, close the door real quiet. We don't want them to know anyone's in here. Mimicking his careful movements, you ease the door shut, not daring to breathe until it clicks in place. Alright, training's over. You make a damn fine thief. Are you really that surprised? Yay, one more to go. Now, to enjoy the fruits of our labor, welcome to the Celestial Winery. A single bottle from here can fetch tens of thousands of gold. Easy. We're supposed to be drinking it, Mal, not taking it. You're in some kind of tasting room with a few wine barrels to the side, and a wall of shelves stocked with bottles directly ahead. I didn't know they were so valuable. I didn't know any wine was so valuable. Mal sweeps his hand around, gesturing down the hallway to the dozens of other rooms, all stocked with bottles. This is what the wealthy do. They hoard things, breathe fire at anyone who comes close, even though they can't use it all to themselves. They're kind of like dragons when you think about it. And that makes us what, exactly? Thieves, of course. Come on, kid. You know how the fables go. Only the trickiest of thieves ever managed to steal from a dragon's hoard. Mal takes a seat on the floor and works open the bottle. Also, the craftiest of thieves almost don't always steal what they more than they can carry. Pop! I think you deserve the first glass. Pours you a glass of the dazzling white wine and hands it over. You raise it high in your toast. To new adventures. No. Sticking it to the rich. To relieving the dragons of a single coin from their vast and endless hordes. I'll drink to that. You clink glasses and take a sip of the celestial ice wine. Oh. The taste is surprising, a sweetness that dissolves instantly into an effervescence of 1,000 tiny bubbles. It feels like sunshine and the first snow of winter all at once. You weren't kidding, that stuff's amazing. When I tell you, it was worth the effort. But more than anything, I'm just glad I got to share it with you. Me too, Mal. You set your glass down and lean over, your arms coming around Mal as you pull him into a kiss. Oh. He quickly recovers and pulls you in for a second one. I'd been hoping you would do that. His lips gently part yours, still sweet with the wine. Now that's even more delicious than the vintage celestial. You blush. And an even better sight. Cups your hand, or your cheek, and kisses you again, trailing his lips down your jaw. You know, for someone who went through all this effort for some wine, you sure have forgotten about it fast. Mal nips at your neck with a breathy laugh. Well, you see, Rain, I've got this list. You bite your lip, threading your fingers into his hair as he trails kisses up your neck, his facial hair tickling your skin. My list of things that matter to me. He whispers in your ear, making a delicious shiver run down through you. You and wine, kinda battling for the top spot. Stop. I'm flattered. With a chuckle, he returns to your lips, kissing you slowly, savoring the moment. And many more moments besides. Hate to be the wet blanket for once, but we'd better get out of here. Soon the guards will come back and everything. Hang on, there's one more thing I want to do. Threp won't shut up about wanting elven honey wine, and we did kinda cut his big moment earlier short. Kit, you've got a heart of wine. Or, if we're still going with the dragon analogy, gold. You roll your eyes, and you and Mal seek out a bottle of honey wine before sneaking out of the cellar, back to Star Fury Manor, leaving no traces behind. Back in the Star Fury guest room, you recline on your bed. There's a knock on the door, and Tyril strides in, arms full of parcels, followed by Adrena and the rest of your companions. What's this, a sleepover? Oh, that sounds fun. No, it doesn't. You're kidding me? I've heard enough of you guys snoring around the campfire every night. Just the loudest snorer of the bunch. It looks to me like Tyril wants some help with his junk mail. Precisely. I love snooping through stuff that's none of my business. Walk home doing Tyril's correspondence, scattering the floor with parchment. Manage proposals, trade renegotiations, admonishments, smaller admonishments. Oh, what's this? He unearths a small wooden box wrapped in dirty parchment paper. That arrived months ago. Looks like it bounced all over the realms before then. Tyril eases the lid off the box and plucks out a rolled-up piece of parchment. He flattens it out, a frown deepening on his face as you crowd around him. That looks like a map. Yes. To the Onyx Shard. A map to the next shard, but is it a helpful lead or a trap? What awaits you as Lady Duskraven's ancestral masquerade? Well, thank you all for tuning in. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Head down description below, links to social media, Discord, and a few links to support me and my content. Also consider hitting that join button. It's a great way of showing your support, becoming one of Locum's Locos, and so many more things to go. And without further ado, hope you're all having a great day, hope you're all staying well, and make sure to be kind to one another. Really, That's all we can do, is be kind to one another, as well as be there for one another. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video or stream. Peace.